there would be a lot of skulls around our telephone side there. And we used to kick it around like a ball. There was always 2 or 3 holes in it. Later on, I found out that they all came from the Spanish War, and I don't know who all died, but the bones were all gathered up and put into one island, and it's called a skeleton island. You don't see any sign of that anymore, but in those days, living was such, and education was very limited here. However, I love the sea. Whenever a canoe that the First Nations discarded because it's no longer in use, we would put our bathing suit on and get on it, half it, and then we'd go octopus fishing. And we'll bring in an octopus, naturally, and we think, oh, we caught it. And then they would catch up to the bottom of the boat and it refused to move. Let it go again and it'll fly away. And then pull it up again and just stubborn as you. But it was fun. There was a nice cave close by that we enjoyed very much, and we used to call it our house cave, I think. It's still there. I don't know if anybody ever seen this cave. Huge. We used to play house in there. Anybody know about this cave?
Yep, I've seen it before.
You seen it? Yeah. Isn't that nice? No, that was my house grade, a long time ago. That's when I visited years later. Got a picture of it. Anyways, then when I turned 7, my parents decided we weren't getting enough education here. Oh, I'm sorry. Old age. Anyways, we were getting enough education, so we moved to Salt Spring Island. And there, all of my friends, compared to here, was Caucasian girls. And started picking up my English right away and started learning. But I lost 1 or 2 years then. And then 4 years of going to school and all that, finally getting where I want to go. In those days, the first thing we did at school was pull up the flag and sing Maple Leaf Forever. That was our country song. And then God Save the King. And you know, raising that up and doing all that put a very strong connection to, I'm a Canadian, I'm a true Canadian. I may look different, but I'm a true Canadian. My feeling was always like that. And then in 1941, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. And my mother and father was very worried about what's going to happen to us. And I was listening to them and I thought, well, I'm Canadian, so it's got nothing to do with me. But a month later, my father, who was a fisherman, this is our livelihood, the government ordered his boat to be taken away, take it to Westminster and turn it in. And my father got sick. He was really upset, but we were always told to obey the police, obey the government, so this is, can't be helped. So he took it in, but he became quite ill. And then in late February, the government said, get ready, just 1 suitcase each, you're leaving this island. And after finally building a house, nice house there on the island, we'll be taken away. And we thought we'll be going back, so I put my valuable things, Mom, up on the attic, thinking that we'll come back, but we never got the house back. Government sold it all. Dad's boat was all sold and all that. And then we landed in Animal Stall, Hastings Park. They took us to Vancouver, and we were in the animal barn. They were still filling up straw with a bag so that they could use it as a mattress. And we were all herded into the stables. There was still a lot of poops around, and we were sleeping with bugs all over the place, and the place just stunk. There was a cute thing about it, the birds flying all over the place. That I felt, at 12 years old, I thought that was cute. And then the bathroom, there was no bathroom, so they just, we had to put box in front of, apple box in front of an animal drinking stall, drinking trough, and balance ourselves. My sister and I giggled so much that we nearly fell in. And then I got mumps and had to be segregated. Well, they took, I was put in a dungeon for 10 days. They took all the animal food and coal, pushed the coal to the one side, and put some bed in there. And there in a dark, dark dungeon, I spent 10 days there. It was okay for me because I was 12, but little kids, 4 or 5 years old, were screaming. And sick as I was looking after them. That was one of my worst experiences there. And then after 6 months of living in the horrible place, looking in the park, and seeing other kids enjoying the rides and everything, and envying them, we were put on a train to the interior, Slocan Valley. There we were in a shack, just wood and tar paper on top. And there were a lot of nails sticking out because young kids as young as 14 was helping to build a shack. So this was September, and when it got cold, there would be icicles hanging from the top because we could stay up all night to keep the fire pot stove going. In the morning, we had to clean up all the side of the house because it would be just stacked with ice. Then my father got sicker and he died on December 1st. We managed to give him a nice funeral, but we wanted his body cremated so that we could keep his remains with us. And we asked the government for that, and they said, we can't do it, you do it yourself. So this is what we had to do. All the young fathers, young men were taken away, and just young 16 and under, and old people were there. So the old people and women and all went up on the hill. They helped us, and we cut down some tree, and we laid his coffin on tree and more on top, and then we poured gasoline around the coffin. And my last sight of my father was a flame going up. To this day, when I get depressed, I can still see my father. I've never been to a funeral before, and to see my father disappearing in the fire was just an agony. And then next day, Mother said, I've got nothing to put his remains in. But my dad smoked, and she had some pins and needles in a tobacco can. So she took that out and chopstick, and next day we went to collect his bones. What a sight. I will never, never forget that, to see my father disappear like that. And then his remains sat next to our bed all during the time we were interred there. It was very, very hard, but we always say it can't be helped. If you do what the government orders you to do. And then school was almost nil there. I really envy you people having school education, because it took another year, and finally parents asked for education, and they put the school up. And then finally we were getting some education. After 4 years, it was okay for us kids because we got used to it. We had made a lot of friends, but the parents were having a difficult time. And then the war ended, and the government said, you either go over the Rockies, after taking everything away from us, over the Rockies, or we'll pay your way to Japan. During the war, we didn't have any communication, no telephone, no radio, or no papers. We didn't really know what the condition of Japan was, but Mother said, I can't go back east when I got nobody there. We got nobody there. How are we going to start a new life? So she decided to go to Japan because Japan was a place where her mother lived. So I had no choice but to go with her because I was going on 15, so I had to decide wherever mother goes, I went. And I was kind of looking forward to a new place too, and went to Japan. The first meal we got there after we got off the ship was a gruel. That was awful. Everybody threw up. We didn't know what we were eating. And then on a train ride to the village, small village that my grandmother lived in, the place was just bombed out and people were still living outside. It was worse than the condition we had in Canada. And people were hungry, there were still dead animals around and all that. And finally we reached the village where my grandmother was, and she passed away and the house was gone. We had no place to go. Fortunately, an aunt who was having a very difficult time let us use her one bedroom. And with a very little, Japanese people didn't like us because they were having a hard time providing food. And they had to, every person that came in were Canadians. Why should we feed the Canadians? But they were nice enough to share their a small amount, so very small amount of maybe wheat or cornmeal a day. And we were hungry all the time and skinny and losing weight. And being a small village, there was no work for any of us. Our uncle from Osaka heard about us, and fortunately his wife left them and he was alone, and he had bought a row of townhouses that didn't get bombed out. So he said, you come and